Hi everybody, it's Andy and welcome again to my office in Modesto, California. I'm an attorney licensed to practice law in California as well as New York. In this video, I'm going to go over how California deals with child support. Hopefully this is going to be the first video in a very long line of videos that I'm going to put out on this topic. In this first video, I'm going to go over how child support is computed, I guess. The genesis of this video basically is that in California, I get a lot of dads who come to me. Dads usually are the ones who have to pay child support. So dads will come to me and say, hey Andy, I have to pay child support, how is it computed? I have all these bills that I have to pay, rent, car payment, insurance, all that stuff. Does the court account for that? So the answer, unfortunately, is no. Child support in California is computed primarily based on two factors. There are other factors that affect it a little bit, but overwhelmingly it's based on two factors. The first factor is each parent's gross income. So for most people, that's going to be their income from work. Paychecks will help prove that. If they get overtime regularly, that will be included as well. If they get a pension, if they get any type of regular kind of dividend, I guess that's pretty rare usually. But wages, commissions, overtime, pension, all of that stuff will be included. It'll be included for both mom and dad. So the question that I get a lot, actually, the follow-up question usually is, well, why doesn't the court allow me to deduct, my rent, my, credit card bill, all that stuff? That's just the way the rules are. So gross income, not net income, is what is used. So that said, however, there are some deductions that apply. So for example, the most common one that I see, usually, I'll just continue with my example for dads, for instance, is that if dad has a kid from a prior relationship that he's paying child support on, but he has a new kid that he's going to pay child support on, this new kid is going to be the subject of the case that is kind of currently pending. The child support for this kid actually will be reduced a little bit because dad has another kid over here that he's paying child support on already. So the reduction is not going to be dollar for dollar. Dad still will, dad's not going to come out ahead, I guess, because he has, another kid here. This kid's not going to lose out simply because dad has another kid from before. But there will be a slight deduction for that. So other kind of deductions are if dad has union dues that he has to pay, health insurance that he has to pay. So normally though, those are not going to be real big. They'll add up to a couple dollars here and there, but the big expenses, the large expenses that people generally have, rent, credit card bill, gas, food, all that type of stuff, generally is not going to be included in child support computations. So the second factor, I guess, that California uses primarily to determine child support is called timeshare. So timeshare is basically just a fancy word of saying, okay, what percentage of time does this child spend with dad? What percentage of the time does the child spend with mom? So hopefully I'm going to put out another video on timeshare, so I'm going to link it right over here. If the little bubble pops up, that basically means I've gone ahead and recorded that. But timeshare, like I said, the percentage of time the kid spends with mom and the kid spends with dad. So you take basically the timeshare figure and you take the gross income for each parent and you type it into a computer program and the computer program will basically spit out what child support is going to be. So the computer program, there's several of them. There's one called X-Spouse, the letter X and spouse. So I'm going to go ahead and link X-Spouse down below for those of you who are interested. There's another program called DissoMaster, that's D-I-S-S-O-M-A-S-T-E-R. I'm going to go ahead and link them down below also. So these programs generally are going to be available at the courthouse that you have your case at. But keep in mind, it's a public kind of resource, I guess. So, there might be a line, the program might not work, the computer might be broken, things like that. But those are the two programs primarily that I have seen courts use to compute child support. I'm also going to link the California Department of Child Support's child support calculator down below as well. It attempts to do what DissoMaster and X-Spouse do. So if you just kind of want to use a back of the envelope calculation, I guess, do a very quick kind of calculation to see what your child support is going to be. The California child support calculator that I'm going to link down below generally is going to be fairly good for that. And the best thing is that the child support calculator that I'm going to link down below is free. DissoMaster and X-Spouse you generally have to pay for, unless you can find a free copy at your local courthouse that happens to work for you. So hopefully that made sense. In California, to summarize, when you compute child support in California, there are two factors that are used primarily. Number one is going to be each parent's gross income. Minor deductions for like previous children, union dues, health insurance, things like that, but you generally do not get deductions or credits for things like rent, credit card payments, fuel, food, things like that. And the second figure that child support depends on is timeshare. So the percentage of time the kid spends with mom, percentage of time the kid spends with dad. You take all of that information, you type it into the computer, and the computer will spit out a figure for you. This is what child support is for this kid. So hopefully that made sense. I'll hopefully put out another video going over like judges' discretion on child support as well. So the figure that the computer program will spit out is basically a guideline figure, and that's meant to be uniform across the entire state of California. So the kid technically gets no advantage or disadvantage living in the big city, living in the in the rural countryside, etc. But judges can sometimes go below guideline support also, and hopefully I will put out another video at some point that goes over that. If I have, I'll link it right here, so if another bubble pops up right here, that's going to be an indication that I actually put that video out. So hopefully that made sense and it wasn't too confusing. If it was, feel free to rewind this video and watch it again. But two factors you need to remember: gross income of each parent and percentage of time that the kid spends with each parent. Those two figures generally will give you a starting point at which child support can be reduced if the judge feels that it's necessary. So hopefully that made sense, and I will talk to you guys next time. Thanks.